Alright, so if you're trying to run code on AWS and you're stuck between EC2 and Lambda, I get it because I was kind of confused too, but it's honestly much simpler than I originally thought. EC2 is like renting a computer in the cloud, like it's renting a virtual machine. So you get to pick the size, you can install whatever you want on it, and it runs 24/7 until you turn it off. So you're pretty much control of everything, like the operating system, the software, all of it. So it's like having your own server, except it's sitting in Amazon's data center instead of like under your desk. Now Lambda is completely different. Like with Lambda, you don't get a server, you just write your code and then you upload it to AWS and it runs when like something triggers it. It could be a file upload or like a HTTP request or whatever. But AWS handles all the server stuff in the background, so you literally never see a server. Like you just write the code and AWS runs it. That's why people call it serverless. Alright, so here's how I like to think about it to break it down. So EC2 is like owning a car. Like you buy the car, you maintain it, it's sitting in your driveway, whether you're using it or not. You're paying for it constantly, like all the things that come with it, like insurance and parking, or you get it, like all of that. But it's always there when you need it, so you can customize it however you want. Lambda is like using Uber. Like you don't own the car, you don't need to deal with the maintenance. You just call for a ride when you need one, pay for that specific trip, and that's it. And obviously, when you're not using it, you're not paying anything. So with EC2, you're paying for the server even when no one's using it. It's just like sitting there running. But with Lambda, you only pay when your code is actually executed. Like if no one's triggering your function, then you pay $0, which is a huge difference. Alright, so you would use EC2 if you need something like running constantly. For example, like if you're running a website that needs to be up 24/7, or you're running a database, or you have like an application that's always processing stuff. That's EC2 territory. So it's always going to be on and it's always going to be ready. Also, if you need full control, like you need to install specific software or certain configurations, EC2 gives you that. You can install whatever you need and customize it completely. Alright, so Lambda is perfect for event-driven stuff. Image processing is actually a great example because like if someone uploads a photo to S3, Lambda automatically resizes it. You're not paying for the server to sit there waiting for the upload. Like Lambda would just run it when it needs to. Or background jobs, data processing, anything that happens occasionally, Lambda is usually cheaper and just overall easier. Here's the thing, there are trade-offs. Lambda does have its limits, like your function could only run for 15 minutes max. If you need something that takes longer, you can't use Lambda. And also, Lambda has something called cold starts. So if your function hasn't run in a while, the first request is going to be slower because AWS has to spin it up. But for most stuff, that's fine. But if you need something super fast, like with really fast response times every single time, you might have some issues. EC2, on the other hand, doesn't have any limits like that. It runs as long as you want, you control everything, but you are managing a server, so you gotta patch it, secure it, make sure it's running. But with Lambda, AWS handles all that for you, so you don't need to worry about it. And of course, the cost. Lambda is cheaper for workloads that are like sporadic. EC2 could be cheaper if you're running something 24/7 and you committed to a reserved instance, but it really depends on your usage pattern. Alright, so this is just like a quick decision guide. So these are different scenarios. So something running constantly, that's EC2. Triggered by events, it's Lambda. In need of full control and customization, EC2. If you want AWS to handle all the server stuff, LAMBDA. Unpredictable or low traffic, LAMBDA is probably going to be cheaper. High and steady traffic, EC2 might be cheaper. And that's really it. Like, once you get the mental model, the choice becomes pretty obvious. So yeah, EC2 and Lambda aren't competitors, they're solving different problems. So figure out your workload pattern, and the right choice becomes pretty clear. Again, I'm working through AWS certifications right now, so you could expect more of these breakdowns. See you in the next one.